Brought to you by Alicia Reece and WGRI.
I stand here today as a product of Dr. King's civil rights movement in the trenches of the battleground state of Ohio, city of Cincinnati, and the daughter of civil rights activist Dr. Stephen Reece Sr. and the late Barbara Reece, who marched for me 50 years ago.
A champion for voting rights.
We're going to bring you people that know about business. We're going to bring you people that know about what's going on in the tech. Put some soul into this whole tech thing that's going on.
She's a fighter for the people.
Welcome, Reverend Al Sharpton, to the show.
Congratulations on your show.
She's authentic.
We're bringing Joe Madison, known as the Black Eagle.
Congratulations on having the show. Nothing is more important than the local programs that engage our communities.
She's a proud HBCU grad. It's time for Alicia Reece's Soul Food, Food for the Soul, on Cincinnati's 24-hour urban gospel connection, Inspiration 1050 AM and 103.1 FM, WGRI.
It started with just rocks. So we said, give us the rocks. And the rocks is now going to be an international tourism attraction.
For somebody to put some time into it like that, you got to be real. That's a big sacrifice to step out by yourself.
I dedicated 5 years in getting this to go from vision to reality. We needed to have public and private partnership.
All I saw was a bunch of rocks. I'm like, how you gonna put a Walk of Fame right here?
20 years we've been trying to figure out what to do with that particular lot.
What in the world? Like, it's just rocks, Commissioner Reece.
So I'm like, what, they building a what? You doing what? What is this? What is she doing?
Just listening to Alicia tell me how it's gonna be, I'm like, we can never make this happen.
Commissioner Alicia Reece had her ups and downs during this entire process. She even had to have knee surgery.
God prepared me for this journey, and I didn't even know it a long time ago.
Commissioner Reece told me, go to Kinko's and print off a flyer. And I mean, this is the morning of.
People from all over the world will come here and understand the stories behind our legends and our icons. We created the culture. It came from right here.
All right. Alicia Reece Soul Food for the soul. Y'all get to the radio. Everybody who's listening, get to the radio. Tell them to turn it on. 103.1 FM and 1050 AM. Get to the radio. Those who are watching us on social media, and I'm going to have to share. We've got a new page, the new Alicia Reece Soul Food. Please go and like that page on Facebook. I told y'all they were coming. Trying to stop us, trying to cut the message off. But with your help, the message will not be cut off. Yes, it will be socialized. What they say, the revolution will be socialized. So share. Please share on all your pages. We've got a great show today. We're talking Black History Month, but we're going to talk about Black health. We're going to talk about Black health. We're going to talk about mental health. It's stressful out here. People are just, whether it's you worried about losing your job or you did lose your job, people are very concerned about their health. So that's coming up. We've got LaNora Godfrey, who is the CEO and president, first Black woman, first Black American to be over the mental health. So we'll be talking about that for the whole county. We also will talk to Dr. Keith Melvin. So we're talking about your mental and your physical health, but we're going to get right into it because we got some great guests. You know what time it is. It's time, y'all. Get everybody ready. It's time for the what? Hot sauce moment. It's time for the hot sauce moment. Okay. It's time. Let's do it one more time. It's time for the hot sauce moment. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right. The hot sauce moment. Alicia Reece Soul Food. Let me just give you a couple things. Number one, Hamilton County. I was happy to join our Hamilton County prosecutor. We were happy to join her we're very happy to join her in filing for the first time ever a lawsuit that we filed on behalf of Hamilton County and Hamilton County residents against the pharmaceutical companies who produce what? Insulin. This insulin is just jumped out the rooftops. And my position is, and always has been, we cannot price people out of being alive. People need this insulin. And we'll be talking to Dr. Keith Melvin a little bit more about that. But guess what? The county spends $13 million for our employees, $13 million for our employees for the insulin. And I want to make sure, can we get that together over there? I'm on camera. Thank you. We can $13 million that we spend in the county for insulin. And that is about 8,000 employees. Okay, because of the price jumping. In Hamilton County, over 100,000 people total in Hamilton County, approximately over 100,000 people have been diagnosed with diabetes. 70% of those have to be on some type of medicine, including insulin. I want to give you that again. 100,000 citizens of Hamilton County have been diagnosed with diabetes, and 70% of folks in Hamilton County that have been diagnosed need some type of medication, including insulin. And so the price of producing insulin has gone down, but the consumer who needs the insulin, that price has gone up. And so I'm super excited to have joined with my colleagues along with Prosecutor Connie Pillage. We filed a lawsuit on behalf of Hamilton County, and we're going to fight back. We're going to fight back. Now, some say, can it work? Well, that was the same thing happened when we filed the lawsuit against those producing the opioids, and we were able to get a win and a settlement. Now, this is not my first time taking on the big companies, the big in the realm of healthcare. When I was president of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus and a state representative, I took on Anthem Insurance because Anthem was going around in various states. And what they were doing was saying, if you go to the hospital and you feel like you're having a heart attack, but you get there and they say, no, it's not a heart attack, Anthem was then able to deny paying it. And so we stood up to Anthem at that time. I don't know what they're doing now because I ain't at the State House, but we stood up at that time. We took on Anthem and we said, no, not in Ohio. So I've got a track record of taking that on. The other thing I wanted to say is that the county, we also we moved Jobs and Family Services, Veteran Services, Environmental Services, Developmental Services are going to be there. And I'm trying to think who else, but we've consolidated into the building at Mercy Health. The old Mercy Health building in Bond Hill has now become the Hamilton County Central Campus. So Jobs and Family Services, the entire operations are there. They've got free parking, and then several other services, including public health, will be there as well. And so you'll be able to go there, and it's right in front of Corinthian Baptist Church. Now, I want to be really clear with that situation. I was there when it was Showcase Cinemas because I lived in Bond Hill, Roseline for almost 30 years. Used to go there every Friday, get the popcorn, had the best popcorn. Every Friday, my family went to the movies. We went to that Showcase. When Showcase left, Corinthian Baptist Church, KZ Smith said, we want to buy this property. I was there with them standing on that property when they bought the property, Corinthian Baptist Church. And I was a state representative then. And then they wanted to bring Mercy, needed a new headquarters, and they wanted to keep it in the community and wanted to have it. They had a choice to stay in Cincinnati proper or leave Cincinnati proper. And so I was there and talked with the governor, et cetera, and they stayed. We got the incentives, and I was there when they broke the ground for Mercy to come to the neighborhood. This was a huge situation. And you got faith-based and mercy, and that was just a great partnership. I was there to help them, and they got a lot of incentives. So then when they came back and said, we got to leave, but we want the county to come in, I said, well, wait a minute. There were some incentives. There were some things you said you were going to do. There was some financial incentives. We got to get that money back to the neighborhood. And so I raised a lot of hell. I didn't go right away with the deal. I said, we got to get a deal for the community as well. And so what happened was those incentives were with the city of Cincinnati. And so they were able to give them, I believe, $7 million back in incentives. So those dollars, the city of Cincinnati can now reinvest, hopefully, in Bond Hill. And so we moved in as the county, and we had the ribbon cutting and all of that. And so I see it now as a win-win, something back to the city and back to the community, as well as getting services that we're bringing to the community. So that's a big deal. Bond Hill is the center part of the county. So that's big. And then last on my hot sauce moments before we get to our guests, I want to clear up for everybody. Number one, you must register to vote. You double check your registration, because now they got some new rules, some new games. And I've seen people who've been voting forever who were registered, senior citizens, and they weren't on the roll. So double check the roll. And if not, register by April the 6th. That's very important. Now, I want to hip you up to some games, and I want to be very clear. I am not on the ballot for reelection. My reelection is during the presidential campaign. So two seats at the county commission, they run during the presidential. And then one seat runs during the governor's race, which is going on this year. I'm only on there as a precinct executive, and certainly would want your vote to be on the Democratic State Committee. But I'm not running for reelection. But I want to be clear, as people are running. I had got some intelligence. Our team got some intelligence that some of the Republicans are putting out, and they're running, and they're using possibly some Democrats putting out that we need a bold vision for Hamilton County. Now, when you start talking about Hamilton County commissioners, now I got to get involved. But if you're talking about someone specific, then you got to be specific. But I want to be clear on what's been bold. Number one, for 200 plus years, we had not had any African American, no black, ever elected to the county commission of Hamilton County. We only have 2 now that's ever been elected in 200 plus years. Number 2, there's always been white male Republicans running the county commission. So all the bad bingo deal, all the giving the money away to the big boys, all the rubber stamping. And let's be real, many of you didn't even know where the county commission building ever was. You didn't know when they met. You didn't know what was on the agenda. You didn't know who was working down there. You didn't know at the high level. You didn't even know Hamilton County existed. It's been the place for rubber stamps. My mother couldn't even get a job at the Hamilton County Commission when I was a little bitty girl. She got the job, but after they met her, she passed the background check and everything else. She's ready to start. She shows up for work. They see that she's a black woman. They said, oh my God, we made a mistake. And I remember my mom coming home, going to the bathroom and crying, and I had no idea what it was. So please don't tell me about a bold vision for Hamilton County. They'll hide behind bold, but what they really mean is let's go back to the days when there was no boldness. Now, I want to be clear on what has been bold in 200 years. Number one, what was bold is that we got elected coming from the mud. And we got elected during COVID. What's bold is that, big thanks to you, we had the second highest votes in the history of Hamilton County Commission races with 218,000 votes. What is bold is that we created, there was no 513 relief bus. I came in, I presented it. We now have a 513 relief bus, and we helped over 50,000 people. We did $100 million in rental assistance. We got medical on the back of that bus that don't charge, no copay. I don't know what's bolder than that. We've got to be careful when they come with these things that we need bold. You got to be specific. If you're out here calling out somebody, you better call them by name. But if you say commissioners, then I got to stand up and say, well, wait a minute. The other thing that's bold, and I had to fight for all this stuff. I didn't go down there and the county had this going on. The other thing is what's bolder than creating a Black Music Walk of Fame? That's an international attraction with 350,000 people visiting it, and they never gave us a brochure. What's bolder than that? And it's the least expensive thing on the banks. It's the least. They paid more for a tailgate space than they did for the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. But what's bolder than that? What's bolder than the fact that we came down there and put Blacks on boards that ain't never been on boards? We had the first Blacks to ever be appointed to the public defender's office. We have the first Blacks that ever been young Black to ever be on the library board. What's bolder than that? What's bolder than we've got KZ Smith on the SORTA board, Viola Brown on the Elderly Services Board, Lincoln Ware on the Veterans Services Board, Karen Bankston on the Hospital Commission, Tyra Oldham on the Community Development Advisory Council, Aaron Brown, former Mayor Forest Park, on the Library Board, Christy Coons on the TID Board, just to name a few. But we wasn't on no boards hardly. They put us on the Inclusion Board. That's about it. What's bolder than going from $1,900 that all we were spending, $1,600 all we were spending with Black-owned businesses, minority businesses, and now we have a $70 million program. What's bolder than that? What's bolder than a small business? What's bolder than a small business Office of Small Business and a Small Business Day? And we've given over $20+ million to help small businesses. What's bolder than the largest budget in the veterans ever had in 200 years and having a Veterans Appreciation Day? What's bolder than Festival 513, Pastor Boumani being down there with the festival and never getting any help, but now getting $25,000 a year to try to keep this moving? So we could go on and on. So just be careful, everybody. We got to understand what they mean. If you're talking about bold, going back to the 200 years where we rubber stamping everything and giving everything downtown, and let's be clear, a lot of the stuff we bragging about has already been, there's nothing bold to it. But what we have been able to do, I can only speak for me as a county commissioner, it's been bold because we had to have God every step of the way. We were fought every step of the way. But we just didn't fight. We got stuff done, and we're getting it with results. So when you talk bold, please be specific. Call out names. But if you say just commissioners, that's how they do in the paper. They say commissioners passed the bingo deal, but they never tell you Alicia Reece voted no because it left out the taxpayers. They come in and say commissioners, and they talk about convention center when really it's not an expansion. It's just a beauty makeover. And I was asking questions and was not on top, a supporter of it. So please, when you do that, let's don't put everybody in one box. Let's be specific, but be careful when they say bold, because sometimes they talking about old, going back to how it used to be, not bold on how we're moving this thing forward and making sure you're included. So that's the hot sauce moment. Y'all, let's get to our guest, Black Health. Black Health, I want to bring them on. We've got Dr. Keith Melvin here. Doc is up here. LaNora Godfrey is the first Black American to lead one of the largest organizations in the whole state of Ohio dealing with mental health. And she has to oversee all of the money, and thank God for those who voted for the levy. And she has an incredible resume. She's been in this field for super, super long. And she is also a church first lady. So she's a woman of faith as well. And so I want to start with you, LaNora. Welcome to Alicia Reece Soul Food. And thank you for being here. And we're excited about the Interact for Health moment. So talk to us a little bit about how did you get into this space of mental health? Because now everybody's talking about mental health, but you were in it when it wasn't popular to talk about it.
Yes, yes. So I've been in mental health for 27 years. I actually received a master in public administration from Northern Kentucky University. And during that time, I was thinking government. I wanted to work in government, wanted to work in planning. And so I moved out to Clinton County, got a job, moved back to Hamilton County when this opportunity came open. So I started off, I've assumed a lot of roles with the Hamilton County Mental Health and Recovery Services Board, but I started off as provider relations specialist. So I got to know all the providers in Hamilton County that provide behavioral health services. And through that, just really gained a really good understanding of what it means to receive services for your general mental wellness. I mean, all of us deal with a mental wellness. All of us need mental wellness. So it was really attractive to me, and I just worked my way up, and now I'm president CEO. And so I thank our taxpayers for approving a levy, but we really make decisions, the hard decisions on those services that are vital to people's mental wellness. And we treat those individuals that are Hamilton County residents. We want everybody well and giving back to society. So that's a major goal that we have, that people have access to services, and the services are services that meet the needs of the people.
Well, that's important. LaNora Godfrey, who's the president and CEO of the Hamilton County Mental Health and Recovery. Bring on Dr. Keith Melvin in the community. And it's so important to have both of you on, because we're talking about Black health, and we have to deal with the body and the mind. And sometimes that's really hard. So Dr. Melvin, I know you come out of the HBCU tradition.
Absolutely. And a Withrow Tiger as well.
Oh yeah, the greatest high school of all time. Now talk about this, Doc, because you've been in medicine for how long?
45 years.
Wow. And when you treat a patient, they come in, we just talked about insulin. Let's talk about that. Over 100,000 people diagnosed with diabetes, and 70% of them need to be on some kind of medicine and those kind of things. And tell us about how that's hard for, the Black community. And then you have medicine that you got to deal with, which is a high cost.
Well, first of all, in the Black community specifically, our problems are multifactorial. Insurance, lack of insurance, lack of adequate insurance, healthcare illiteracy. We don't trust the system. All those things we've all talked about over and over and over that have been barriers to good health care for our community. And of course, we're making some strides, but there are just a few steps at a time, and we're getting better. And when you're talking about diabetes, clearly diabetes is a major issue in our community. And certainly, as LaNora was talking about, mental health encompasses almost everybody, that we all have some kind of mental health flavor that we're dealing with. But if you're going to talk about those physical things like diabetes and high blood pressure, of course, I deal with that myself. Alicia, I've got one of those continuous glucose monitors on now because recently my sugar went a little bit out of sorts. And so it's coming back in. I just looked at my monitor just now. It was 133, and that was when I ate 2 hours ago. So we have problems within our community, but clearly the cost for medication is terrible in a rich country such as the United States of America. And when you go to some of those other countries, the medications are so minimal in their costs. So the cost for the profit for these pharmaceutical companies is always in America's consumers. But insulin, yes, insulin's very costly. I'm glad that we have programs where we're trying to at least minimize the costs and make it something that's affordable for all of us. But there's so many other products for our diabetes. And clearly everybody starts off talking about lifestyle modifications, and we should have been doing that in the first place. We should always be doing lifestyle modifications. But as it relates to how we live in America, we got all the fast food joints. Now, kids in high school and elementary school, whatever, don't even have to take gym. They don't have to even go outside and course, now we've got social media and all these other things. There's so many different barriers that have been added on to the traditional barriers of lack of insurance, healthcare literacy, and so on and so forth, not trusting the system. But in addition, now we have the new medications like Ozempic and tirzepatide and so forth. And these medicines are medicines that help you to lose weight. And of course, they are extremely costly, $1,000 a month and so on. And now we're trying to get those medications down to a nominal cost for the average consumer to be able to afford them. But I don't like the fact that you can get these medications, which can be dangerous, online even without a physician. So we've gone to just a consumer-based profit type of situation in a capitalistic society. And I think that itself is frankly dangerous in general, and certainly is dangerous in the African-American community.
Yeah. Now, LaNora, let's talk about what's going on here. Now, there are different types of levels to mental health. You have people who are clinically diagnosed, people who are medicated, but then you also have everyday stress right now. I mean, everyone is kind of holding in a lot of stress that they have to deal with. Are you seeing some of those type of changes that are happening?
Oh, absolutely. The difference between a diagnosable mental health condition and normal emotional responses to life stressors often comes down to three things: intensity, duration, and impairment. And, we all go home after a long day of work and we flip on the television and we see the news, and the news is talking about either a shooting or something that has occurred in a kidnapping, or something that just has occurred sometimes in the neighborhood in which we live and we've driven back to. And so those are normal life stressors. We all see something that affects us and will affect our mental wellness. And those are, so we look at the intensity, how strong are the symptoms? We look at their duration, how long do they last? Also the impairment, do they interfere with daily functioning? If there's an interference with daily functioning, then that might be something that you need to go see somebody and see, is it diagnosable? Is there a mode of treatment that I need to have? Or is it where it's a situational where I need to take a break? I need to have wellness for myself. I may need to exercise as a stress reliever. So yeah, we're seeing that with all the dynamics that we deal with on a daily basis and the things that are happening around us in the world, we're dealing with that in the full spectrum.
And talk about I know we've talked about teen suicide. There's more pressure with teenagers now. But also I see an uptick in senior citizen suicide. So talk about that too, where people just say, hey, I just got to give up. I can't afford all this grief. I'm losing people all the time, or, money for, the medicine. I keep getting worse and worse. Or teenagers who feel like I can't talk to anybody. It's all over. Can you talk a little bit about that, particularly in the Black community? Sure. As we are in Black History Month?
Yes, sure. So yeah, COVID, it started back in 2020. COVID caused us to isolate. We were all stuck at home for a long period of time. Our children were at home and weren't necessarily engaging with their friends in their normal environment that they were in just the day before COVID hit. And so, and you think of our older adults, they were isolated, and quite often they're isolated to the point that people aren't going to see them. So all of that isolation, we saw some spiking in, unfortunately, suicide in our youth through the lifespan all the way to adults. We see that in the African-American community because, unfortunately, as we talked, there is a trust. Dr. talked about the trust that we have with medical clientele. We have to build we want to see clinicians that look like us. And that's an area where there's a grave lack in the mental health workforce. So absolutely, we've seen a spike in suicides with our young people, which is very disheartening. You know, we have we know that they work with cell phones and social media and those type of new technology that we didn't have in my day and age growing up. So we've had to be very creative in how we address talking to our youth and reaching them. We have texting. You can text a crisis line. You can call 988. Whatever age you are, call 988 and someone is on the crisis line available to talk to you. But yes, we have seen an increase, and the board and across the state and across the nation have developed these crisis lines, 988 line, in order to address those issues, because it's not just in Hamilton County, but we're seeing it across the United States.
Wow. Going to you, Dr. Melvin, that you talked about that. Doctors that you can trust, that also has the sensitivity, you know, because diabetes, I mean, it's not just, you know, put that chicken bone down. I mean, there's people I know that's real thin that has diabetes and other things. I mean, cancer, all those kind of things. And talk about the importance of, you know, Doc, you came in, you're in the community, but what's the future for Black doctors and Black therapists? That's the other thing. You say, go to a therapist. And they say, well, they don't understand me. Talk about how important that is, or where are we with Black doctors and Black therapists that's coming through the pipeline?
I'm glad you brought that subject up too, because all of us baby boomers that are in the retirement age, I'm 73 years old, and I have retired from my practice. But of course, as you know, Alicia, I teach a young intern and resident doctors in one of the programs here in the city at Jewish Hospital. There are very few African Americans that are coming in the healthcare system for doctors. Then there are, of course, more women than there are men. And those are problems that have just been created over the course of time. Sometimes I think it's almost been deliberate. But what can we do about it? The problem is people do want to see somebody that looks like them, acts like them, talks like them, and thinks like them, and culturally is sensitive to their needs and situations, because they do not want to go. And as LaNora is talking, when you're saying about mental health, first of all, nobody wants to, particularly boys, men, and so forth, don't want to admit that they need any help. And so, of course, there's a machismo mentality that's been built in for a long, long time, where men never went to the doctor. The boys don't go to the doctor. Now, I like when Tom Joyner was having to take your loved one to the doctor. It was men taking boys to the doctor. And this was sort of trying to break down that barrier. But of course, the barrier is a permanent thing, as it seems, and it is still there and exists. But there are very few doctors that you see coming through that look like us. And if they are, and there's nothing wrong with it, they're from another country. So the Black physician is not an African-American physician. In many cases, it is a person that is Black, but they are from Africa and other nations. So
why is that? Is it the cost? Is it the, you know, doctors aren't making what they used to make? What is the reason that we're losing on the scale? What attracted you to become a doctor, and why aren't we having more Black doctors? Because you're right. I mean, I remember going to the doctor one time, and I remember it wasn't you, it was another different doctor, and they talked to, one time talked to my father, and they were just like, well, you've lived a great life. And you're like, what? He lived a great, and I'm thinking, wait, he wants 30 more years. What are you talking about? They made it so simple. Like, well, you should be happy because you've lived a great life.
Oh, yeah. Well, once again, it's multifactorial, but I go back to some of those specific things that I've seen. 30, 40 years ago, we started promoting to have the equality of our girls in STEM programs, at science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And sometimes I believe we did it, but we kind of forgot about the boys. Now we see that our boys over the last 25 or 30 years, of course, what's attractive on television, it is an athlete or an entertainer. So now all our young men, I've been to so many schools, elementary, middle schools, and high schools, and it's it's upsetting when I ask 15 guys what they want to do, and 12 or 13 of them just want to do something in entertainment. Well, yeah, maybe not, but that's not what we need to be doing. Now, by the same token, when I was younger, there weren't that many black physicians, but what I did see in my community was all the black men around were working. They were the mailman, they was the police officers, they were firefighters, they delivered the milk, they worked in the grocery stores, they were all over the place. And so all the men up and down the street all worked. And so for me to emulate men like me, my father was a teacher, I saw men all up and down the street and throughout our community that worked. They were the coaches on the teams and so forth. And so you saw a lot of different things that a young man could aspire to emulate. And first of all, it emulated going to work every day. I think those are part of now medicine. Of course, everybody knows it takes a long time. It takes a lot of dedication, perseverance, and resilience. For me, I went to high school, graduated in 1970. I did 4 years at Fisk University. I did a year in graduate school. I did 4 or 5 years in medical school and 3 years of training. That totals 13 years. I could have started the kindergarten and gone all the way through 12th grade again. And most people are looking for instant gratification. Gratification for me was to reach the goal that I had aspired to. It was not about money or anything. And the reason why I continue to work now is because I enjoy what I'm doing and I like making a difference in my community. We don't have as many of our young people who aspire to making a difference in their community or even coming to church and making a difference in what they're doing all day long. And I think that's one of the basic problems that we've had, Alicia, and it's just very unfortunate. And we're still working on those things. But, you know, in the society, in this system we're in now, just as we've broken down so many doors and barriers, when you go inside yourself, they start building a doggone door and the barrier right back up behind you. So it's a difficult thing. But as I said, the boys haven't been going and been trained or aspiring to do science, technology, engineering, and mathematics as much as they used to. And we have had STEM programs, but the STEM programs across the country generally have been focused on our girls trying to help us to get where we are. And so sometimes I believe it was unfortunately inadvertently, but kind of at the expense of the boys. Our boys now aspire to be entertainers. They don't aspire to be things that look like they are difficult to attain and achieve. And they're not in science. They're not in math. They don't do engineering type programs. And that's just been a very difficult thing. I still have been teaching the medical students at University of Cincinnati. I only take the African-American students. Interestingly, for the first time this year, they sent me 2 white guys, and they're very nice, and they just started working with me. And I wonder how that happened, because I also talked to one of my colleagues, and he said that he has a white person that's with him. And we were saying there's only 3 or 4 of us that work as assistant clinical professors at University of Cincinnati's College of Medicine. And so for the 12 or 13, 14 African-American students, I believe they should have an opportunity to be exposed to somebody that looks, thinks, acts, and feels like them. And here we have this year, for the first time, it changed, and we now have Caucasian students. I'm going to inquire about that, but I don't want to do anything that would jeopardize the relationship I have with these kids, because
one of the things,
I'm there to teach whoever it is, but it's just an interesting concept.
Yeah. And I think that would be good, because then they'll also learn some of the cultural things, because they'll be having Black patients as well. Now, LaNora, I want to get back on this, on the health, on the mental health side, because now people, you know, when you go to the hospital, you go places, do you feel depressed? Do you feel this kind of this and that? Can you talk to the folks out here? And the thing is, you have that balance too, because you work with clinical technicians and those kind of things, but then you also, you know how important the church is and faith. And so let's talk a little bit about people and what they kind of going through and what kind of help can they get? Because like you said, everything is very expensive when you go to specialists.
So, I mean, coming from the perspective of a first lady at a church, that's
we're going to say it's a New Life Temple Church. Is that right?
Temple Church, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, we got okay. Yes.
But you know, all of the and churches overall, not just African American churches, but African American churches are a base of their community. So I would say, you know, where people can go and get some, you know, be able to talk to some counselors, talk to people, get some grounding is your church. Community centers are the base of a lot of communities. What we see now in as Dr. Melvin was saying, what we see now with clinicians are, I believe it's the rate of pay. We have a lot of African American clinicians that are in private practice, but not a lot in community-based services. And I believe it's the rate structure, you know, the amount that they can, you know, pull back to be able to live on is a lot less when you talk about community-based services. Healthcare overall, and everybody can probably think of a situation where they've been billed for an astronomical amount if they went to the emergency room. Healthcare costs are just high, period. And for you're dealing with a physical health issue, a behavioral health issue, they're very expensive. And those are things that we have to prioritize our health and figure out a way to bring those costs down so that we can have access to any care that we need. We're in one of the richest countries in the world.
Yes.
And we struggle with providing basic care to people who have worked for 30, 40 years and paid into a system. It's something we really need to look at as a society, because we have this next generation that's coming up that's going to struggle much more than we are struggling now. So I, you know, we have some work to do. We have a lot of work to do. One thing we have a program that is actually going into high schools. And to Dr. Melvin's point, we're going into high schools and we're trying to encourage kids to understand going into the behavioral field. Before, people always used to just think you need to be a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and they look at the length of time you have to go to school. Well, it's not that way anymore. It's not just social work. There's a lot of degrees that you can get and still go into the behavioral health field. And so we're trying to get into these high schools because that's the next generation we're talking about. We're trying to get in and help them understand you can come out of high school and start working in the field. And they have peer supporters, people who may have been dealing with a mental illness and have recovered, can get in and help their peers, give that reach back and bring them forward. And so we're really trying to help people understand these are fields that you can get into, and they're very gratifying fields. You know, what better way to really truly help somebody is if you have dealt with an issue and you've seen how you were able to continue to work towards and recover and get a job and then reach back and help somebody else. That is the most gratifying thing that you can do in life. And, you know, we're trying to help people understand, but we have this program in the high schools, and a young girl was talking about being a pediatrician. And where physical health and behavioral health or mental health coincide is she's talking about being a pediatrician, but she said, you know, I'm going to take some time off because I want to understand the behavioral health piece of that. Because if us with children and we take our kids to the pediatrician, they're starting to ask those questions of everybody. How do you feel? How are you feeling today? Or have you been depressed? Have you thought of hurting yourself? So all of these questions are starting to surface in a lot of different areas. So I think it's important to have those two need to meet, because as I said before, behavioral health is healthcare. It's really no different. It's taking care of self. And I think, you know, that's the importance of making these two pair together. And all of our docs need to understand the behavioral health, and behavioral health need to understand the physical health. And I think that takes us much further in healthcare and mental wellness if we can understand where, you know, your physical health can impair your mental health and your mental health can impair your physical health.
Yeah, so LaNora Godfrey, CEO and president of the Hamilton County Mental Health Recovery Services. While I have you there, can you tell the folks that are listening and watching what exactly do you oversee and what does the Hamilton County Mental Health Recovery Services do?
Yeah, so sure. The Recovery Services, Hamilton County Recovery Services Board is an administrative board. So we don't provide any direct service, but we are charged by the Ohio Revised Code to plan, fund, and evaluate behavioral health services for Hamilton County. We contract with 38 provider agencies that are in all different parts of the county, and we provide services to those individuals in Hamilton County who have no source of paying for services. We'll call them indigent. They have no mechanism to pay for the services. And so the board has the full span of service from therapy to medication to medication management, to residential treatment, to permanent supportive housing, recovery housing. So we span across mental health services as well as substance use disorder services.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Melvin, we just talked about that. You got to have the physical and the mental. And sometimes the mental brings down your physical. Talk about, there's medications out there, antidepressant. People want to know about those. Are those good? Are those bad? You hear different things with people. They said, oh, this is going to make me more sleepy or it makes me drowsy. And then some people don't take their medicine. And I used to be one of those people to be like, how in the world they miss their medicines? But when you got a lot of medicines, I can see now how a senior or someone might miss or not want to take their medicine. So can you talk about that? Both the antidepressive medicine and then also the fact that you've got all these medicines and how easy it can be for people to forget.
So, Alicia, let me ask you, did you take all your medication this morning?
Yeah, because I know I was going to see you. And then mine is not that much, but I feel like it's a lot.
Well, that's what you keep telling me. It's just way too much medicine. But let me say this. Medication for depression or what have you is not the only answer, and sometimes it's not the answer at all. And so people are looking for, it kind of reminds me of they'd like to take 2 pills, go to bed and wake up in the morning and feel just fine. This is not the way it works. It's long-term. It takes a comprehensive approach and the comprehensive treatment. There's no question about it. Let me just say this. When we're talking about these situations that result in a person having some mental health issues, and that's a broad category, just in and of itself. So for me personally, my wife died and was sick for 7 years. My son and I took care of her at our house. She was in 2, 3, 4, 5 different nursing homes. The care was terrible. And the care was terrible because, unfortunately, in extended care facilities, that job seems to be not on a pedestal, but on a pedal, down on the floor, like it's a low-level job, and the people that are there, there's the concept that they're only there just to get a check, and so they kind of don't take care of people. So you take care of folks at home yourself. Now, taking care of a loved one, even for me being a doctor, was very difficult, and I also had to watch the person's demise. So for the past year, I have said to my own doctor, yes, I've been depressed in addition to the grief that I've gone through. And fortunately, as the 11, 12 months ended, it was February the 4th, I've now made it for a year. And so I didn't need any medication. I never went to anybody to talk to them. Wasn't sure if I even wanted to share it with anybody professionally. Shared it with friends and other family members and my church group of support guys and so forth. And that's what I use as the treatment for that. In the case of me, I did not need medication, but clearly I was going through not only grief, but the grief then resulted in some depression. So, in addition, as it turns out, Alicia, the mental and the physical thing. So just as I thought I was getting through, as I made it through a year of this grief and depression, I suddenly, a month ago, came up with a physical illness, and I'll just say it right here so LaNora knows it as well. I've been diagnosed now with my second cancer. I had cancer 26 years ago, and the Lord blessed me, and I went 26 whole years without any cancer. And last month, an incidental finding showed that I had a cancer that was blocking my left kidney. I've had one surgery, but they couldn't get it all. I have another surgery scheduled for the 23rd of this month, and then the removal of my kidney and ureter on March the 12th. So now I've got a physical illness that has now contributed to, I don't know if I'm depressed, but I have anxiety about my own future. I trust the Lord and so forth, and I've gone back to that and talked to the pastor and my mother, who's 96 years old, to help me through this mental situation that I just believed from a different factor that I had come out of. And lo and behold, 35 days ago, I come up with something else. And so I don't believe that I need medication. I believe that I need support, people to talk to, prayer, and so on. And so I'm saying it even now. For my surgery, Alicia, I hope that everybody that knows me, has ever heard about me or anything, sends prayers up, because I do believe prayer works. And certainly for LaNora as the First Lady, I hope they have me on their prayer list this week and from now until I get through this surgery successfully. So I did not need any medication, but I still needed support. Yeah. And the problem we all have in our communities is not knowing where that support is. We have many folks, men particularly, boys, who don't go to church. They're not working anywhere. So their only support is more 20 to 25-year-olds who think like them, look like them, act like them. And unfortunately, none of them even know where to seek any resources. No medication, no insurance, no knowledge, no support, no true traditional family structure. So there's all those kinds of things that we are worrying about. Multifactorial issues in our community, and it takes the village completely to help us. And I agree with you and LaNora. The church-based family is critical in the African-American community for not only mental, but physical health, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. But let me just first of all say, definitely have been praying, will continue to pray. And I was calling you like, hey, where's Dr. Melvin? Did I go to my doctor appointment? You say, listen, I just came out of my doctor appointment. But also understanding that doctors are human beings too, and they have to go through things as well. And so I would definitely be praying for you. But you're absolutely right, because, my medicine is high blood pressure, all those things that's hereditary, the high blood pressure and so forth. But I haven't had anything about, like you said, we got to deal with it, the depression or whatever. You always tell me you're dealing with a lot, and I just deal with it, but not on any type of medication. But we will be definitely praying for you. And, we love you, Doc. And I know you're going to fight through this one. You always fight through. And we love what you did with the Black and White Cancer Survivors Ball, and a lot of people surviving that. LaNora, we're wrapping up, but I wanted to allow you to, if there's something that you want to add, but it tells you right there when people go, it's so funny because when you go through something and you're getting ready to have a surgery or something, the first thing they say, now, I remember they used to tell my mother, they said, you got MS and cancer, but the number one, don't get stressed out. And she's looking at these bills, and she's got a business with her, my dad, and they're telling her to not be stressed out. And so mental does play a major role in all of our lives. So LaNora, is there anything you want to add as we're wrapping up?
Well, I want to confirm that I will be praying for you, Dr. Melvin, and I'll put you on our prayer list. We have intercessors, and New Life Temple will be praying for you. But yeah, just letting people know it is normal to feel discouraged, anxious, overwhelmed in certain time and in uncertain times. And we're in those uncertain times. That does not automatically mean you have a mental illness. However, when those feelings become persistent, intense, and begin to interfere with your daily life, that may be a signal to seek professional support. And that professional support can be through your church, through your doctor. Have those conversations. I think, as Dr. Melvin said, we have a lot of work to do to make sure we reach those folks that are just not aware. We need to continue to educate. We need to continue to make sure access is available to everybody who seeks care. And so I just, encourage people to seek help when help is needed.
Absolutely. And you can call 988 if you run into that moment, because a lot of times if we could just, get through that one moment, that one few minutes, maybe that one night, the next day,
Yes.
you say, man, what was I figured it out, or I made it over. So, you can call that 988 number. I want to thank both of you for coming on our Interact for Health, Soul Food Health moment. And Dr. We'll have both of y'all back on, but mental health is real. You have to have the mental and the physical. They can't be, you great mentally, but your physical's bad, or you're great physically, but your mental's bad. Your body, it doesn't work like that. And so, Dr. Melvin, we praying for you. We gonna be with you every step of the way. And I just want to tell you up front, I, along with so many people, we love you. We love all that you have done in the community beyond just, wearing the white coat. You've brought people in, you've mentored people, you've taught people, you've been in the community explaining, difficult things. You've gotten men to go get checked, and you got checked, just a regular check, and this situation happened.
And what it shows is the importance of follow-up. I only go to my doctor historically twice a year and have my blood drawn and so forth. And of course, what happened this time, I had blood drawn. It was one abnormality. We did an ultrasound. The ultrasound was abnormal. Then we did an MRI of my abdomen, and what we were looking for on the ultrasound turned out to be normal, but my left kidney was obstructed and blocked by a tumor, and the tumor turned out to be cancer. So right now I'm sitting here as a cancer survivor, but the cancer is still there. And so one of the things as we're looking at Black History Month is that it is important, not only for the doctor, for the nurse, for the mom, the dad, the son, the daughter, and so forth, to be sure to continue to do your follow-ups, and whatever the recommendations are, do whatever the doctor and the healthcare provider is recommending for you. Absolutely, we must be as preventative as possible. You got to do colonoscopies, mammograms, prostate exams, pap smears, and so forth, and you got to go to a doctor or somewhere to make sure your blood pressure, your sugar's okay.
All right, you heard it. Black health, mental and physical. Thank you, LaNora Godfrey, for being on the show. We'll have to have you back. Thank you so much, Dr. Keith Melvin. And they both are Black history makers, and they're making history right now. Now, real quick, we got a new segment, y'all. It's the weekend, baby. That's right. It's the weekend, baby. We got to tell you what's going on this weekend very quickly. It's Valentine's Day. Weekend, baby. There it is. There it is. There it is. We're bringing it back from my college days. It's the weekend, baby. We got a lot going on. We got Darlene Faulkner's 70th birthday. I'll be there. We're wearing all red. Mike Epps is in town at the Heritage Bank Arena. Marlon Wayans is at Hard Rock, but I think it might be sold out. I'm not sure. And the Black Wine Fest is going on. I think all those tickets are sold out, but they may have a few left. So y'all check it out. It's the weekend, baby. It's Valentine's weekend. Don't forget your Valentine. If you got one, you can get on the street corner and buy them little, them little roses. I can't stand them carnations. So don't bring me no carnations. Don't bring me no baby breaths and all that. I don't want that. Don't bring that teddy bear to me. I don't want it. It's Valentine's weekend. You can do something real. Lot going on. Darlene Faulkner's 70th birthday. I'm going to be there. We're going to have a great time. Mike Epps is, he's going to be bringing the comedy to the Heritage Bank Arena. Marlon Wayans, he's at the Hard Rock. 2 comedians at the same time. We got a lot of we should have so much laughter going this weekend. The Black Wine Fest is also happening, and that's so that I don't drink wine, but I do drink communion juice. Now, some of y'all getting some real wine with that communion juice. I went somewhere, and I think it's the Methodist. I don't know if it's at Allen Temple, but I can tell you that the Dr. Melvin, that's your church. But it hit my lip. I said, oh, my Lord, is that real? No, I got to have that Welch's grape juice with that cracker that's been sitting on there that's old. You know what I'm saying? The little bitty cups that's been around, and that's what we're doing. But some of y'all who do drink wine, The Black Wine Fest is unbelievable. Y'all got to be there. Y'all have to find somebody with tickets. And then, of course, go to all the dinner places. We got Black-owned places, etc. But don't forget Valentine's Day. Don't get in trouble, y'all. You know, if you got a Valentine, you can't go hiding. And don't be breaking up like Stefan and Cardi B right during Valentine's. You break up and say, we'll get back together after Valentine's Day. All right, y'all. Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend. We thank God for everything. And you go down to the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame, but I will tell you, the snow beat us down, y'all. We took a beating, but we on the comeback. We're going to bring some new stuff back, but it beat us down at the Cincinnati Black Music Walk of Fame. Check it out. Until next time, everybody, don't forget to bring the hot sauce. Peace.
Thank you.